Hi guys, Sugar here with a new video, and this video will be a BM Hunter PvP guide video for Dragonflight. I am going to talk about stats, gear that you would like to go for, build that you probably will play 99% of the time, and you will have to switch a few talents here and there depending on the enemies you're going to face. But also we are going to talk about the PvP talents because there are a lot of PvP talents that are actually worth talking about. And we are going to talk about 2v2, 2v3, mostly about solo shuffle because like stats are saying, and also my stats are saying, a lot of people are actually playing on in solo shuffle instead of, let's say, 2v2 or 3v3. But we are still going to talk about those brackets. We're also going to talk a bit about RBGs because I know a lot of people do like to play in RBGs. I'm going to spoil you guys about RBGs. BM Hunter is not the best RBG spec. It is just a bit difficult with your pets to survive and such, but you can make it work if you have your own group. You make your own group. You can have somewhat of success with it. We're going to talk about the rotation, the stacks that you have to keep an eye on, and also when to burst or when to do consistent damage and try to hold off the barbed shot stacks. And I will also try to talk about BM Hunter at the end, the overall feel of the class. But now let's talk about what is a BM Hunter. I do like to talk about it with every guide I'm doing so you can actually understand what a BM Hunter is and you're not trying to play it like a marksmanship hunter. BM Hunter is one of the best consistent damage dealing specs. It is a highly mobile ranged DPS spec that can do damage while moving, and you're not really losing anything by moving and hitting. You are basically a highly consistent damage dealer like a Fury Warrior, and your burst rotation with your Bestial Wrath will take it up a notch, but not like a difference between zero burst and consistent damage, for example. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you're a marksmanship hunter. The difference between double tap and no double tap is a lot bigger than consistent damage from a BM hunter and then Bestial Wrath. The burst is a lot lower than a double tap, for example, but it's a lot more consistent and I would say a lot more deadly most of the time. Now, you have to know also it's not a very difficult spec to play, but I think it is a difficult spec to master. But I think it's like the case for every hunter spec. I think a hunter that knows when to trap, and how to kite is much more valuable than a hunter that doesn't know that. It doesn't matter if you have the rotation on point, as long as you don't kite, it is going to be a lot difficult to survive. And if you kite a lot and you mess up a bit the rotation, I think the kiting will take the advantage compared to your own damage that you're going to have to deal with the enemies or pets, whatever. But you're going to be good. Now let's talk about stats. So I've tested full mastery, I've tested full haste, and I must say full haste is probably the best with versatility, of course. You want to be very flexible in abilities you're going to use. You don't want to have slow GCDs. You don't want to actually have barbed shot at a longer CD recharge. You should also understand that haste affects the CD of barbed shot, and it has an 8-second timer on the buff. So you see that you have 3 seconds of like limbo where you cannot have a stack for your barbed shot except if you are lucky with your procs. Now, I think the best you can do as a BM hunter is to stack full haste and then go a bit of mastery or crit. Personally, I like crit and I like mastery, but haste is just too important. And what I do is also go for full speed enchants where I can. So I have chest with accelerated agility, which gives me agility and a speed. I go for the wrist enchant, which is the plus 200 speed, and we also go for the cape, which is homebound speed, and we also go with the speed on boots, and it will give you 14-15% depending on the levels on those enchants. And you also have pathfinding, which is 12%, so you will be very fast like at all times. Like it looks like you are actually in classic vanilla and you have like aspect of the cheetah at all times, and it just feels very nimble, very nice to have as a BM hunter, but also just as a hunter as well. And those pets are in the way, but whatever, doesn't matter. So I do play with badge because I don't have the conquest to spare on the insignia, but I think insignia is better on BM hunter because you will have haste on the insignia, which is the conquest one, but also since you have a lot of consistent damage, whenever it pops, you will always have some kind of utility. It is not going to be wasted. And if it pops and you pop Bestial Wrath, you're going to be very good. For now, I play with the badge since it is both haste and I like to control the burst. So I do make a macro for my badge and my Bestial Wrath. But I think if you have the conquest to spare, you buy the conquest one, which is giving you haste, and you will also have the great trinket, which is basically going to pop whenever you are doing damage, so it's quite nice. It can pop 2 times per minute, for example, which is still better than, let's say, a badge every minute. Now, those are the stats. I went for the Crimson Gladiator's hand cannon, which is crit, but you can also go for the haste one, which is the World PvP tokens, which is 3 eye levels less. I think it's better too. So if you want to chase a weapon, I think you should go for the World PvP one. But if you get like lucky on a vault like me, I would just buy the Crimson Gladiator's hand cannon and you are good to go. Or at least you would pick that in the vault and you're good to go. Now let's talk about talents, and this is pretty much the cookie cutter build. You're going to play this at all times probably. In RBGs maybe you want to be a bit more greedy with your kill cleave, for example, which is going to do a bit of AoE damage. But again, in RBGs you don't really want to be in team fights because your pet is going to die like instantly. But let's talk about the class tree. So I'm going to talk about the important talents and why I take some talents and why I take some talents not really, because it is actually very important for you guys to understand the points that you're actually putting, right? So basically we're not taking improved kill shot, although it seems juicy to have critical damage increased on kill shot, but you're not critting all the kill shots, and you're only going to crit kill shot whenever he's low HP. You don't have Hunter Spray, so basically the only occasions where you're going to kill shot is at low HP, and you don't want to spend a point to have maybe a crit, and you have plenty of points to spend. I'm going to talk about also Wild Nurse Medicine. I do take it, but versus Affliction Warlocks and Elemental Shamans, I just remove it and go for improved traps or natural mending if I know it's going to be a very long match like in twos, or rejuvenating wind. It is very important that you're not taking it into Elemental Shamans and Affliction Warlocks, because if they do dot the pet, which is something that they should do, and you're doing Mend Pet, you're going to instantly kill yourself because of it, because it can dispel the Flame Shock, which will do the damage on you, but also the Unstable Affliction. And imagine if both of them are on the pet, you are instantly going to die, or at least make your healer suffer very big CDs. So I think it's good to not take it. Although in cleaves, like let's say Retribution Paladin Warrior, I would recommend to take it because your pet will die very fast if you're not taking it. One more thing you should also know, entrapment is of the root DR, so I would just entrap probably all the time. It is very good, it is actually very OP. And you can combine it with steel trap. So if someone is steel trapped, you put a tar trap next to it. He's going to walk into it. It's going to pop, and basically he is going to be stuck for a very long time because steel trap is not dispellable, and the tar trap is. But again, if the healer spends a dispel on a tar trap, it gives you more time to do something else, for example. So it's very nice. I do take an interest in the endurance instead of lone survivor. Again, 40% is much more interesting for 6 seconds on use, instead of, let's say, a 30-second CD, less and a longer duration. I think it's 6 seconds or 8 seconds. It doesn't really matter if it's a 20% DR, but also the minus 30 seconds, it will just make it a 2 minute CD, more or less. And it is not still not very useful to have. So I think it's better to have a bigger damage reduction ability. Born to be Wild is quite nice for aspect of the cheetah and aspect of the turtle, but it is not mandatory. You could also just take natural mending, or you can take improved traps, because again, 20%, it is going to be a bit lower, but it's not going to be massive. We're also playing with scatter shot in arenas. In arenas, I think it's very interesting to have scatter shot to peel yourself from melees, but also stop like casts. It's actually very interesting to play around it. You should not really only use it just to do longer CDCCs. You could actually intimidation stun on the healer, then trap, then scatter shot. But what I do is often I try to trap without my intimidation or without my scatter shot, and I try to use my intimidation and my scatter shot on the kill target and the off target, so I have a longer burst duration, but also more consistent damage, more kiting, and just be more slippery. I think binding shot is quite nice for RBGs or random BGs or epic BGs, whatever. It's actually very nice because it does stun multiple targets, so it is useful. But I think in arenas you're going to DR yourself for stuns with your mate and such. It's only 3 seconds and basically even lower since you have CC reduction, and it's a 45-second cooldown. And yeah, they have to move. If they are on top of you, they're not moving, you will have no benefit from it. So again, scatter shot is very strong, and it is something you should use it as a BM hunter. Intimidation, very big. I think it is just too good. 5 seconds CC, and it becomes a 4 second CC basically with all the CC reduction. But it is very nice to have whenever you want to kill someone, or if you want to ensure that the trap is going to land. Still very nice. In RBGs, you could play high explosive trap if you're playing on specific maps, like let's say Eye of the Storm or Arati Basin if you're defending Lumbermill. Alright, there are a few talents which you could remove and put somewhere else. Like, let's say, improve tranquilizing shot, you could remove it and put it in binding shackles. It's a 10% damage reduction, still very nice. Works for scatter shot and intimidation, so again, more useful to use it on DPS. Wilderness medicine, like I said, affliction elemental shaman, you should just remove it and put it in natural mending, or you put it in proof traps. Again, you have so many points to spend, so it's very hard to actually take everything, but you can always make the choice to not take it. Like, let's say you don't have anything to dispel, you could just remove tranquilizing shot, although I think it's very useful. You can remove this, you have like 2 points, you will spend it in binding shackles, and maybe you have a points to spend in let's say improved traps or sentinel owl, although I don't really play it at the moment because I don't have a lot of synergy in solo shuffle with it. But you have a lot of great talents, but you should be a bit more flexible in your class tree, while the spec tree is more set in stone. We have keen insight, eyesight. Basically, you're taking it because you want the death chakrams. It is part of your burst rotation as well. Serrated shots works with your barb shot, and barb shot is one of the abilities you're going to press the most and do the most damage with. We have steel trap, which is super useful versus multiple targets, versus multiple specs like demon hunters, survival hunters. You have many use cases. Like, let's say you're going to do that on a healer, and then you have a safe trap because it cannot dispel them from the trap. So it's always nice. Also, evokers, they do get steel trapped, and then they have so little range, people are going to kite them, and they're going to be in a tough spot. They will have to spend like big CDs to catch up and to try to heal their allies. So I really like steel trapping as a whole. versus warriors, very big. Windwalkers, very big. You have a lot of like use cases with steel trap, and I really enjoy it to have it as a BM hunter. Beast mastery, I think pet damage increase is pretty like basic. You want that. Improved kill command, again, kill command is going to hurt like a truck, and you have now a choice node, which is either you're going to play the safe route and you will have more charges on the kill command, you will do consistent damage like more longer, I would say, or you want to be an execute master, you want to do some 100k kill command, which is possible if you're critting both. With this under 35%, your kill shot is not even a prio anymore. You want to do kill command. Personally, I played both. Depends on the soul shuffle match. If I feel like someone is like going to be lower HP most of the time, I think Killer Instinct is very nice. But if you feel like they're never going down and you have to need more consistent and burst damage, I think Alpha Predator is one of the best to actually apply that pressure. Now you have also a different build, which I play it, let's say, more as a fun thing, and I do play it sometimes. It's not great, but what you can do is basically remove your steel trap. So you don't want to have steel trap, you want to have master marksman, and you want to have serpent sting, and basically you will have a lot of bleed damage because of excuse me, you also remove improved kill command, you go for serrated shots, and you do go for, let's say, Hydra's bite, and then you have a lot of like bleed damage and poison damage, and you're going to have a lot of fun in BGs. But I do stress that the most fun thing is to actually do 100k kill commands, so I would not recommend to go for that route. I would still go for the Alpha Predator and Steel Trap route. But now let's talk about the Spectre. You should understand that the Spectre is probably something that you will not touch at all, because this is the meta build. It is the one that is going to do a lot of barbed shot damage, but also a lot of kill command damage, a lot of pet damage. And you all have Dire Beast, which gives you a lot of haste, and in a whole, you're going to do a lot of consistent damage. You have also a route where you're going to play with Call of the Wild, but I again will stress that it's a 3-minute CD. You will have some difficulties to have actually a lot of pressure with it, because some people can just disarm you and CC you and just make it a lot harder to actually utilize it. I think the burst is fantastic, but BM Hunter is the consistent damage dealer spec. You don't want to give everything up to just have burst, because then you are just going to be a subpar marksmanship hunter. So in my opinion, this is the build. What you're doing, you're taking everything that is going to boost your pets. So basically you will have Aspect of the Beast, Animal Companion, which is going to halve the damage your main pet is going to do, but you will have 2 pets, which is like overall a DPS increase. Thrill of the Hunt, which gives you a critical strike chance baseline, like 9%, because you're always going to have barb shot up, and you're always going to try to have 3 stacks. Dire Beast is something nice to pop, so if you want to have a on-demand haste by 5%, but also you have Dire Command, which gives you a chance to get a Dire Beast with kill command, and you're going to spam it a lot, and Dire Beasts are going to last an additional 2 seconds and deal 60% increased damage. Basically, over a whole match, it does 10% of my whole damage. That is pretty much what Dire Beast and these talents are going to do. It is going to be giving you 10% more damage. Is it noticeable? Not really, but if you're going to watch in details, you're going to have between 8 and 12% of that damage, which is purely passive with Dire Beast. So it's always nice to have. It gives you haste. It is just annoying for the enemy team to also see a lot of pets on them. And in general, you're going to have a great time. Stomp is very nice because it does add up. The damage is very nice. But you also have to understand that if you're doing barb shot and he is near someone that is trapped, it's going to destroy the trap. So what you want to do is, if they are walking towards the enemy that is trapped, you have to spam kill shot or cobra shot, which is not something that you're going to do a lot. You're going to spam kill command, cobra shot, kill shot, Maybe Death Chakrams because it's very smart. It doesn't hit trapped guys. Kamara's thing. You have a lot of things to press, but don't press Barb Shot. Except if you think, look, it has a 1 second or 2 second trap. We don't care. We're going to do max damage. Then you can do a Barb Shot. So basically, every time you're going to do a Barb Shot, it will stomp and it will do a lot of AoE damage, and it will add up. It is a lot of damage over a whole course of a match, and you should not underestimate it. We have Base Your Wrath, which is your on-demand CD, which is going to be reduced with Barb Shot. So basically, you will have every 45 seconds a Base Your Wrath, more or less. It could be more, it could be less, depends on how you use Barb Shot. Again, we have talents that improve it. Whenever you're doing Bistro Wrath, you will have 2 stacks of Barb Shot. So I will also explain how to manage your burst and how to have the max value Barb Shots available to you. We play with Piercing Fangs, so pet critical damage will be increased by 35%. Now, I don't know, personally I didn't test it. I think it applies on kill command, but I could be wrong. Even if it's not applying on kill command, it is better than Killer Cobra in my opinion. We have pet damage here, training expert, killer command to actually again improve your kill command. Sharps barbs, which basically gives you 40% increased damage on barb shot, and serrated blades will be increased by 40% under 30% health. So it will add up. It will sometimes crit for 22k on a dot. So it's insane. The value is actually insane. Again, your pets, your damage, everything is simple, but once you have understand the basics, you're going to do a lot of great things with the BM Hunter. So we have Bloodshed. We play Bloodshed instead of a Murder of Crows. This is part of your burst rotation. Whenever you're ready to burst, often than not, you will use Bloodshed with your Death Chakrams, with your Bestial Wrath, and often with 3 stacks of Frenzy, and you're going to obliterate someone whenever it happens. Of course, your pets can be rooted, of course, your pets can be stunned, whatever, but your damage is going to be still very interesting. Your kill command is does get the 15% increased damage from this, so you will have insane potential on kill command, especially if you're playing with Alpha Predator. If you want to do a insane one-shot combo, he has to be below 35%. You're popping everything, and basically your kill command will hit crit for 100k, so 50k, 50k from both pets. So that can happen if they both crit, of course. War Orders, Barb Shot, again dealing 10% more damage, and it can also reset your kill command. Now you're going to tell me, why are you not taking Dark Pack? Why are you not taking Brutal Companion, Wailing Arrow? I'm going to explain it right away. So basically, Aspect of the Wild has also changed. It doesn't give you crit anymore. It's basically a Cobra Shot build, which no one is playing right now because Cobra Shot is just not doing as much damage as Kill Command, while in Shadowlands it was the reverse. Kill Command was not even worth to press. Now Kill Command is worth to press, so it's actually very nice. Call of the Wild, you don't take it because it's 3-minute CD. It doesn't line up with the CDs that you're actually playing and the playstyle that you are actually going for. We're not playing with Wild Call and one of with the pack because we don't crit everything, and it does only work with auto shot at critical strikes. So again, it's too much randomness. I don't think it's very worth it. We're not taking with Brutal Companion because it's not always that you're going to have 3 stacks on Frenzy, and yes, it does a lot of damage whenever it does, but it is still too little to actually spend that point. I think that point is much better to spend elsewhere, which is basically improving your Barb Shot and your kill command. Wailing Arrow is just against the nature of a BM Hunter. You don't want to stand still because then you're predictable, although the damage is alright, but it doesn't CC at all. If it was a silence on players, then it would be very nice, but it is not the case. Dire Pack, very nice, but again, you have to have 5 Dire Beasts summoned, which you could have a lot of bad luck. and it's only reduced focus, which is not really a problem as a BM hunter right now. Focus is just not a problem, and CD reduction on kill command is nice, but sometimes you don't want to kill command, you want to bob shot, and I feel like you don't have the GCDs to spare to actually spam kill command. That's not gonna happen. Or whenever you can, that thing will not pop, but whenever you can't, it will pop and you will be like having no value on it. So basically you're not taking it. Hunter Spray is nice on paper, but it's only a 10% chance, and you're not going to do that many call commands. It can pop like 2 times or 3 times in a row, but it can also just not pop for a whole solo shuffle duration, so I will not bank on it. Cobra Shot, again, you're not going to do a lot of Cobra Shots. You don't have the GCDs for it. And I think it's much more worth it to not press anything and to go for a trap than to, let's say, spam Cobra Shot and not trapping at all. Since you have kill command, barb shot, whatever you want to actually spend. So those are the talents and the spec. You will see the spec, the code in the comments below. And if you have questions on why I take X, Y, Z, please let me know. I will also help you. Now let's talk about the PvP talents. There are 2 talents which I'm taking at all times normally. So survival tactics, it's very strong. Again, it's not Craven stratagem, but it is better than nothing. It can save your life multiple times. If there is a chaos bolt flying in, you can just feign death and it will just do no damage, for example. Moral strike, the same. You can feign death, and sometimes they can just do it on your pet or on someone else or on you, but you have a shield. So again, it's very, very interesting, and you should play around it. And again, feign death is a 30-second CD, so you should use it often, but use it smart. Royal Sacrifice is normally a insta-lock at all times. Although there is a situation where I'm not taking it, it is versus an Affliction Warlock and Elemental Shaman, for example, or a Shadow Priest with an Affliction Warlock, or a Shadow Priest with Elemental Shaman, because basically they will not, their damage is nice whenever they crit, but that's not their main focus. They're not going to crit you all at all times. Versus Elemental Shamans, too bad, you're going to get critted anyways with Lava Burst, so it doesn't matter. So I would not take Roll of Sacrifice. I would take, for example, Dragon Scale Armor, or I would take the Beast Within, or I would take Hunting Pack if I want to have Aspect of a Cheetah more often, or I do take Kindred Beasts. So you have a lot of options. And Cameral Sting is very nice to have, but this is more of a flex talent. I do not take it at all times, but whenever I take it, I do make use of it. So now let's talk about the talents real quick. Beast Within is very nice because they provide immunity to fear and horror effects. Your Bistro Wrath will remove all crowd control effects, so if they are feared, you can just use it and they will not be feared anymore. But if the Warlock decides to do a howling, the AoE fear, I don't even know how it's called anymore, or anything else, they will not be immune. So this will ensure that it is immune. It will also increase the attack speed. It's still nice. It's something I would take instead of Roar of Sacrifice, for example, if I feel like there is a Shadow Priest and Affliction, and let's say a Disc Priest as well. So you have a lot of fears. I prefer to have Beast Within instead of Roar of Sacrifice. Dar Beast Hawk is not worth to take because people are just going to run out of it, and still the damage is not nice. Dar Beast Basilisk does a lot of damage, but it is super slow. It is super kiteable as well, and yeah, I don't think it's very worth it. It's also a 2-minute CD. I wish it was a let's say a 1-minute CD, and maybe it would be more worth, but still, even with a 4th PvP talent, I would not take it. Interlope is quite nice, for example, for polymorphs and such, but you have to take misdirection. But it is quite hard. It is very hard to use, so I would not go for that. Most of the time, I do not take misdirection, so I do not take interlope. Survival tactics, very strong, very strong, very strong. You should always take it. That's a insta lock at all times. You never play without it. And the people that play without it, they do get killed most of the time in the arenas. If I see that there is no survival tactics on my arms warrior, I'm going to destroy him because I'm going to Colossus Smash and Moral Strike without thinking that he's going to feign death, that damage. So it's a very good talent. Dragon Scale Armor, very good versus dot-based specs. Affliction Warlock, Shadow Priest, Elemental Shaman, I would even say versus Devastation Evokers, because their Fire Breath does also a lot of like dot damage, so you basically will reduce that damage as well. Hunting Pack, very nice. Scales very well with Born to be Wild. It will give you like a 1 minute 20 second CD on aspect of the pack, of the cheetah. But the problem is it worth it? It's only like a speed boost, and you have a lot of ways to actually free them yourself. So sometimes taking the hunting pack is only worth it in RPGs and MPGs for me. Tranquilizing darts is insane versus resto druids. The tooltip is very bad, but interrupting or removing effects with tranquilizing shots and counter shot releases 8 darts at nearby enemies. Just basically, it's going to do a AoE effect on that around the target, and it is going to reduce the duration of beneficial magic effect by 4 seconds. You should understand that some healers, are like resto druids, are actually going to refresh the HOTS whenever the HOTS are going to be very low duration. And by doing this, they're going to be surprised that there is no reserve or no regrowth or no live bloom. How it's called? Live bloom on the target. So basically, you're going to ruin their rotation and their thinking process. I really like it because again, counter shot, you're going to do that a lot. Tranquilizing shot, you're going to do that on CD, and basically you're going to win versus a few matchups like, let's say, mages, Resto druids. You have a lot of ways to actually reduce all those CDs, all those buffs. So I really like it. Wild Kingdom, it's quite nice to actually have your pets to be saved, but I do not play it most of the time because I don't have PvP talents for that. Kindred Beats is insane. It will give you a more or less 22-second freedom on yourself. And it just will make you more like, again, unkiteable. So people will not like to slow you because they know that it's not going to work. And whenever they catch you up, like whenever they catch you, you just do disengage. If they slow you again, you're going to do Master Skull and you're good to go. You can just run away while they are slowed or while they are rooted. Diamond Eyes is quite nice if you're playing versus a Demon Hunter in twos, for example. And in general, you're going to have a good time because people are not going to break your CC. It is something that you can use in social flow if you struggle. If the healers are like smart and they always follow their DPSs, I think Diamond Eyes just negates that fact. So I would just play Diamond Eyes if I feel the Resto Shaman just wants to clump up with the DPSs and I want to CC someone. That will ensure that I will CC someone for 5 seconds. But my main three will always be Survival Tactics, Roar of Sacrifice, and Chimeral Sting. So this is pretty much the build. Let's now talk about 2v2 and 3v3 and also solo shuffle. 2v2 comps would always be with a healer. You can play with DPS, but why would you play BM instead of a MM, for example? BM Hunter is very nice with a healer. I would suggest Resto Druid. I would suggest maybe a Disc Priest, a Holy Priest, a Evoker, maybe like Preservation Evoker. But those four are probably the best healers for you as a BM Hunter, basically because of the CC potential that they can do, but also just the healing throughput that they can also give you to you. BM Hunter is very strong in twos. You should not underestimate it. Personally, I don't play a lot of twos because I prefer to play solo shuffle. But I know BM Hunters, you're going to have a great time in twos. And if you have difficulties, you should try to look for ways to enhance your win rates versus specific comps. I think versus DH, you're going to struggle a bit, except that you have Steel Trap now. But the main problem is they're going to kill the pets very easily with AoE. Versus Feral Druids, also very difficult because again the bleeds are full damage on the pets, and the pets only have 157k health, I think 200k if I'm in PvP, which is basically like 10 seconds of a dot. So they're going to die very quickly, so you should mend pets your pets at all times in twos. Instant wins probably versus casters. I think casters are very difficult to play against a BM hunter, and you as a BM hunter are going to actually enjoy your time versus casters. Now in trees, you want to play comps that are going to help you to do more consistent damage. Jungle is going to be very good, but it's also a very difficult comp to play. I would suggest to maybe play with a warrior, which is now going to get buffed in 10.0.5, so I feel like KFC is going to be very strong. You could also play with a retribution paladin, and you're going to CC the hell out of them. They cannot stop it, and the second go is basically a kill. You can also play with a enhancement shaman. They will like it. You will probably like a bit less. But my personal comp that I would play the most is probably with an unholy DK or with a demon hunter. The consistent damage, the pressure that you can give as a BM hunter is very high, and they do give you a lot of time to actually prepare your traps, prepare everything, and you have a lot of ways to win games even without trapping, because you have so high consistent damage with both of them. You're going to enjoy your time a lot. You could also play with an affliction warlock, since you're still playing a lot of bleed, and you don't want to trap the people that are bleeding. But again, I think the difficulty is trapping targets that are actually fully dotted. That would be very shameful and very hard to actually play around it. But affliction warlock with a BM hunter should also work. So those are the comps that I would play. In solo shuffle, your role is basically do a lot of consistent damage, try to be at max range at all times, and go in whenever you know that you're going to do a trap. If you're going in and you're not trapping, you basically are going to give yourself up to the melees, and the melees are going to destroy you. You will have to mend pet most of the time, because healers are not going to heal your pet. So if whenever it dies in social shuffle, it is going to be very hard to recover, because you will have to turtle into a res, into knowing that they are going to sit on you because you don't have turtle anymore. The damage is quite nice. The ladder is quite nice for a BM hunter. I think the meta is quite nice for a BM hunter, and that's why there is a lot of higher rated BM hunters. I think you will have a lot of fun with it, but it's very hard to play versus melees. Everyone knows that, but you have tools to run away. So you have disengage, you have master skull, scatter shot, intimidation. Just use your CC on the DPS, and the trap you can just use it on the healer. Remember, intimidation on the kill target and scatter shot the off target, and you are good to go. I just like solo shuffle to a certain extent versus a few specs. The specs where I have the most difficulty with is feral druids, and the reason is they just kill your pet instantly with bleeds. Even mend pet will not save them. It's a very strong, very strong spec to play against. But again, you will have to just lose 2 games versus a feral druid, and the rest you can win with the feral druid, for example. And you're going to have 4 wins. You will have to look for a way to win those games versus a feral druid, but again, you can make it work in the soul shuffle. If you're playing versus 2 feral druids, you can just slash FF or just stand still. It's the same. Your pets are going to die very quickly, but that's not going to be very often, right? Like 2 feral druids in one soul shuffle. I mean, they are not like demon hunters, right? So their popularity is never as high as a demon hunter. I feel like demon hunters are very easy for me to kill. They do stick on you, but still trap is so powerful that you just need to still trap whenever they are actually going for eye beam, for example. So you have a lot of ways to run away. DKs, they are yummy. You're going to kill them very easily, although again, they can kill your pet with just AoE, but you have mend pet, and mend pet is much more useful versus a DK than a feral druid. Overall, I think BM Hunter is a fantastic spec. If you want to play it, if you want to enjoy your time, I think BM is a great spec to play. Now, survival is also very fun, MM is also very fun, and I can understand that maybe you're like reticent to the fact that you want to play BM Hunter, but I'm going to show you how to play BM Hunter like damage wise. So what you want to do is stick the enemies, the pets on the enemy. You want to battle shot in the beginning. So you see I have a Weakaura, and it is counting down. It also gives me a sound clue, and I'm going to barb shot again, and then I'm going to wait again because I have a dot. It is not going to add the damage on top of the dot, right? So I need to time it till the end to barb shot, and now I have 3 barb shots, right? And whenever I'm ready to burst, I'm going to Beast or Wrath into Bloodshed, into barb shot again, into Death Chakrams, and that's my max damage burst. And I'm going to kill them very easily. Again, barb shot, into kill command, into maybe kill emerald sting, into another barb shot again to have 3 stacks. And what you want to do is to have 3 stacks most of the time. And it's not going to happen that you're going to be fully stacked at all times. Like right now, I'm going to lose the stacks probably, except if I have a lucky proc. So I don't have a lucky proc, and what you want to do now is your consistent damage and your burst rotation is now over. So what you want to do is gain a bit of time on your barb shot, so you have 2 stacks. So I'm going to now barb shot, and I'm going to wait a bit. I'm going to wait, I'm going to try to CC, a barb shot again. He smoke bombed, of course, and it's a horde, so it doesn't work. So I'm going to do again. Here, barb shot, kill command, kill shot, kill command. I'm going to wait for a barb shot again, barb shot, and now you have 2 stacks. Next time you have a 3 stack, you're going to burst. You have 3 stack, Beast or Wrath into Bloodshed, into Death Chakrams, into 1 kill command, into 1 barb shot, and you're good to go. You can burst again, 2 seconds, barb shot again. You're going to cobra shot, kill command, barb shot, kill shot, for example, if they are low. If you're going to get like kiting, just scatter shot into steel trap, for example, dark beast, and you're good to go. You can just go back to a consistent damage rotation. So now you're going to do 2 barb shots, and if you feel like you want to burst, just Beast your Wrath, so you can have 3 stacks. And what you're actually doing is you try to have 3 stacks at all times. Death Chakrams, kill command, dire beast to have the 5% haste, and again a lot of damage. And you see that my DPS at all times is 44k. So you see the whole rotation I did, all the damage I'm actually doing is 40k or 44k DPS. And I'm not even going to like say that I'm going to do a difficult rotation, because that's not the case. But the difficulty about the BM Hunter is trying to get those 3 stacks and always have those 3 stacks at all times. And whenever you don't have 3 stacks, you have to wait to have 2 stacks up, so you can actually do barb shot again. Because if you are doing barb shot on CD, at one point you always have only 1 stack, and that just doesn't help you. You want to have 2 stacks or 3 stacks and try to farm it. And don't spam barb shot like directly, because you're going to lose damage. Barb shot does a lot of damage, but if you're going to stack barb shots at all times, again, it's going to be very difficult. So now I'm going to barb shot again, Dark Beast, and now I'm on my burst rotation, right? So you're going to do a lot of damage at all times. Intimidate, stun, and then barb shot, cobra shot, and now the pets are going to run away for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways. This is pretty much the rotation. What you want to do is pretty much get a Weakaura, which is Frenzy Tracker. Just type it in Google, put it somewhere so you can actually track the frenzy stacks. It's much easier to track it here than, let's say, a bit lower or let's say a bit higher, and it will give you a bit more incentive to play around those like buff, because that's a big buff. Like it's 90% attack speed more on the pets, and it works very well. It does a lot of damage. You will see that whenever you have 3 stacks, you're doing Beast or Wrath, Bloodshed for 15% more damage, Death Chakram increasing your damage by 10% as well, with Barb Shot, with the stacks, and then a kill command, it is going to do a lot of damage. I'm going to show you the damage I did on the dummy. So that's a 1 minute here, I think this one, right? Maybe no, I will take the first one. So, but with the first one, I did a kill command. So one pet did a kill command of 56k, and the other pet did 50k. Imagine if it procced on the same time, it will just do insane damage towards the enemy, and someone is going to die at any point whenever the healer is CC'd. I just think it is one of the best specs to play in Soul Shuffle for a good reason. It is actually insane the amount of damage you can dish while moving, and not a lot of specs can actually do that. Now let's talk really quickly about the pets, because I didn't really talk about it. What you want is a raptor, so you can have Savage Rent, which is effectively a mortal wound effect. Now, I don't have the best pet because I'm just lazy, but you can have the undead raptor pet in BFA, for example. You can have an undead raptor, or even in Shadowlands, and you will have a great time because they cannot get sapped, or some CC will not work on them. But I'm very lazy, so I'm not doing that, but I should. So the best pet you can go for is an undead raptor, or just take a raptor if you want the immortal wounds effect. The second pet doesn't really matter, it is aesthetic. What I do is just get Ruffle Stomp and get wrecked noob, so they can actually see the names and just getting wrecked in Soul Shuffle. But anyways, this is pretty much the guide about BM Hunter. I'm going to talk really quickly about macros, but really, you have a target player is Freezing Trap. So basically, you can basically trap on yourself. I don't use it on my BM Hunter, I just use it on my Survival Hunter, so I can actually harpoon into Freezing Trap. Very easy. I go for Bestial Wrath combo. Before it was with Aspect of the Wild, but now Aspect of the Wild is not the same as in Shadowlands. We do take the Trinket as well, but again, if you have Insignia, you just don't need to play with it. I have also a Disengage with High Explosive Trap combo if I'm playing like RBGs, and I'm doing that, someone is going to get knocked every time I'm going to do a Disengage, so I really like it. But anything else I don't really use for now. I feel like BM Hunter is one of those specs that don't really need a lot of macros. You could do Arena 1, 2, 3 and such, but I feel like if you play with like tarp targeting and just know whenever you have to tarp target and such, or just click on the icons, I think it's also very good to do. Especially since your CC is basically your Freezing Trap, you can also do a pointer macro. So basically, whenever you're like pointing there, you're pressing Freezing Trap, it is going to be direct, but I like to gouge a bit where I'm going to put it, right? So I can maybe snipe someone from afar with a Freezing Trap. But anyways, this is pretty much the guide. My feelings towards BM Hunter is that it is a fantastic spec to play if you are a Hunter main or a Hunter enthusiast. I would just give it a shot. It will be hard in Soul Shuffle because again, without coordination, they will have to probably resort to go to you, and the healer will not know whenever you're going to turtle or not. What I would suggest is to turtle very soon. If you feel like you're going to take a lot of damage, just turtle, set back, and you can go back whenever you are safe, depending on the healer. You should use your CCs as soon as possible. You have Scatter Shot, which is still a very good peel ability, and Intimidation, very good for securing kills or securing traps. I really like it. But anyways, let me know what you think about the guide. I know I'm not the most well-spoken YouTuber out there, but I hope you understand what I said. Again, if you have questions, I will always answer in the comment section below. If you want to have fun, I would recommend to go BM. I would recommend to go Hunter. I think it's a very good class to play, and it will only get buffed because it is not a S tier spec. So if you want pre-shot some buffs, just go BM or just go Feral. Excuse me, MM or Survival, and you will have probably a good time in the future, right? So anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we will catch each other very soon in a next video. Have a great day. Bye.